So our session today is on the new EBSCOhost user interface, and we're going to be looking at some tools and features to help enhance your research skills using the new EBSCOhost. For those that don't know me, my name is Nadia Davis, and I'm the manager for customer training services in Oceania for EBSCO. These are the objectives from our session today. It is my hope that by the end of the session that you'll be able to access the new EBSCOhost, describe and apply advanced searching tips, construct advanced searches using subject headings, refine search results using filters and limiters on the new interface, access full text records, and use tools and features to work with your results. You'll also be able to access relevant support and help materials. So for those that would like to follow along, and I do encourage you to do so, please visit the chat panel. You will see a link available in there that will take you to the new EBSCOhost. If you also have your mobile device handy, you can scan the QR code and it will open up the new interface on your mobile device as well, just using the web browser. And you can also visit the WSU library site to access EBSCO as well. Okay, so if you have clicked on that link, what you might end up with the first time you click it is a page that looks like this on the screen here. So I just wanted to address this before we go too far. What you might see is continue personalized or skip for now. It's up to you which option you choose, but just to let you know, if you click continue personalized, you'll be signed into a personal My EBSCO account. This will be created for you and you'll be automatically signed in. So what this means is if you start saving records or saving your searches, you're going to be automatically personalized to that personal account. If you skip for now, you can certainly log in after the fact, but just letting you know, if you click on personalized, you're automatically signed in and your account will be created for you. Okay, now before we start, I thought I would just give a little bit of a tip around appraising the literature and some ways that EBSCO tools in the new user interface can help you with this. So why would we appraise the literature? There's a huge amount of information available, and critical appraisal allows us to apply a systematic way of assessing the relevance of the information to our research question or need. We need to assess the reliability, the validity, and the quality of the evidence. Now, EBSCO databases have unique filters and limiters that can assist you with the appraisal process. So I don't know if you're using any tools at the moment for evaluating your sources or appraising your sources. I have got an acronym on the screen, which is a very unfortunate term. It's evaluating sources with the C.R.A.A.P acronym. So what I've done here is just outlined the tool and where EBSCO can assist you. So some of the tools and features available to help you evaluate your sources. So in this acronym, we've got our currency, which is the C. So the timeliness of that information. As you'll see in our live demonstration shortly, EBSCO provides a date limiter, allowing you to select from date increments like 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, or a custom range. And we also include a field code that will allow you to look for increments of time, say the past 90 days, for example, or relative date years, or days in the future to days in the past. So there's a few things that we can use to help us with currency. The relevance is another item in our acronym here. So how does the information relate to the topic or answer the question? Over here, who is the intended audience? Now, we've released a very new tool called AI Insights, which will generate the salient points of an article that's grounded in the full text. So this can help you identify if an article is relevant to your topic and needs directly from the result list. The first A is for authority, so the source of the information, such as the author, the publisher or the sponsor, and the credentials for that author or publisher. EBSCO provides detailed metadata, and in the author field, you'll often find the author's credentials. So you usually be able to identify who they are and where they worked for when they produce that piece of research. Some databases also include unique field codes for grant information, which will show you who has sponsored the research. Our second A in our acronym here is the accuracy, so the reliability and the correctness of the content. Where does the information come from and is it supported by evidence? So again, in EBSCO, we can review if a piece of research is evidence-based, and some databases will include an evidence-based filter or limiter. We also have the peer-reviewed limiter as well. And some databases may also include filters for subsets of different types of peer-reviewed journals, such as blind peer-reviewed and so on. Now, the last part of this acronym is P, which is the purpose. Now, can be a little bit subjective. You sort of need to identify and verify the purpose there. So looking at things like, is it a fact? Is it an opinion? Is it propaganda? Or is it objective, impartial, and unbiased? So there are some filters as well that you could use to help with this, such as the source type, if it's an academic journal, if it's peer-reviewed, checking again, maybe the author and a little bit more information about that author as well. So just evaluating again if it's objective or impartial information. So that's just a little tip. We're going to go into some of those tools and features on the platform as well. And now I just wanted to go into some searching tips. So Boolean operators, you may already be very familiar with using these. The new EBSCOhost, of course, supports our Boolean operators. So the AND operator is used to narrow your search, and it will retrieve articles featuring all of your terms. So if I typed in leadership and management, the system will retrieve articles featuring both of those terms. The OR Boolean operator will create a broader search and will retrieve articles that contain either of those terms. And the not Boolean operator again can help you to narrow your search and will omit articles from your search results after that not operator. So if I typed in leadership, not management, the system would only retrieve articles about leadership, but not about management. So and or not is supported in the new interface. These are some additional advanced searching tips that I'm going to walk you through now. So the first thing I wanted to point out is about the default search modes and proximity and the exact phrase searching. So I always find it helpful to identify what the default search mode is so you know how the system is performing when you enter your keywords. So by default, the search mode is a proximity search and it defaults to a near 5. So if your words would be near 5 words of each other in no particular order. If you're wanting them to appear in a certain order, just enclose them in your double quotation marks. The second advanced tip is truncation, and we call this our word stemming device. This will provide or yield more results because once you stem your term using that asterisk, the system will retrieve variations on that term. In this case, if I put my asterisk after the C here, I will receive articles featuring the term of medical, medication, medics, and so on. So depending on where you stem that word, will retrieve so many variations on that term. So the further along in the term, the less results, the further back in the term, the more results, depending again on the term that you are searching. We also support 3 wildcards. We have the question mark, which is a single character, the hashtag, which is for a multiple or alternate character, and we can also use our asterisk as a wildcard between 2 other terms. So this will look for a missing word between these other terms here. We also support field codes, and I am going to talk a little bit about field codes in this session today, but these are really useful for finding partial citations, or if you are looking for something quite specific, they can be very helpful in focusing or qualifying your search. And then my last example over here is proximity searching. So this is where we could use our uppercase N for a near search and our uppercase W for a within search, and then we would specify our precision distance. So in this case, I'd be looking for vitamin C near 3 words of stress in no particular order. In this case, I'd be looking for vitamin C within 3 words of stress in that particular order. So let's have a look at this on the platform so you can follow along and see how these do work. So this is the new EBSCOhost user interface. You'll be able to access the link from the chat window. And at the moment, I am searching across all databases. So I've got 38 databases on the profile. You also have the option to select a specific database to search within as well. I am going to alternate between searching all and searching specific databases in this session today. So the first little tip I wanted to show you was the search option. So I mentioned that we have our search mode, which is a proximity search. This is using that default near 5 search. So this is where the exact phrase searching comes in handy. So let's say I was looking for artificial intelligence ethics. It's going to be artificial intelligence ethics near 5 words of each other. Doesn't necessarily have to be in order. And you can see ethics is coming before artificial intelligence there. So if I wanted to have that more specific and more focused, I could use my double quotation marks, as you can see here. And that will then instruct the system to look for those words in that order that I've specified. And you'll also notice I do get a few less results with this search because it is more focused. So double quotation marks is your exact phrase. My other tip was the truncation. So this is where we can use our asterisk to stem and truncate our term. So I'm going to use that example in my slides. So medic will then look for variations after that C. So I'll end up with a few more results, quite a lot of results in fact. And you can see here we've got medication, we've got medical, and so on. Medicine, etc. So truncation helps to look for variations on that term wherever you stemmed it. Now wildcards, I'll show you these ones. So single character is replacing one character in a term. This will now retrieve articles featuring next, nest, neat, and so on. So it's just replacing that single character. The wildcard between terms, so this is the asterisk. If you're using it as a wildcard, please make sure you have a space between the first term, the asterisk, and of course your second term. Otherwise it will truncate. So we're going to put chief space, asterisk space officer, and the system will then look for that missing term between those other terms here. So we have chief marketing, chief executive. Okay, we've got lots of executive. We might get medical, we've got information officer and so on. So again, it's replacing and looking for that missing term between two other words. Okay, now field codes is the next thing. I'm going to talk about field codes in depth later on, but just to show you, we're searching all databases at the moment. Over here in my drop down, I've got some fields that I can use to qualify my search. So this can be helpful, like I said, if you have a partial citation, maybe you know an author and maybe you know some words in the title of an article or a book or something that they might be familiar with typing. So I'm just going to type in emotional intelligence with my author Goldman. So it's going to find articles with emotional intelligence in the title and Goldman in the author field. So I have 32 results and I've got some book content, got some articles here and so on. So just a quick way of locating information very quickly using our qualifiers, our field codes over to the right. Now my last little tip I wanted to show you was using proximity searching. So remember that an N is for near. Near means no particular order. W is within and it must be in order. So how does this work? We simply type in our terms. So vitamin C near 3 words of stress. So these can be in any order, but they must be near 3 words of each other. So here we can see vitamin C near 3 words of stress. We've got stress before vitamin C now because the near is no order required and so on. So what if we change that and we use the W? So just the same step. So vitamin C within 3 words of stress. So the difference here will be it will be more focused. I get less results because vitamin C must come before stress. Okay, and be within 3 words. So that is our proximity searching. Now you can change that precision distance. I've used 3. You could use 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10 if you wanted to in your searches. Okay, if there's any questions, please let me know. So I'm going to head over into some advanced searching. So what's available for advanced searching on the new EBSCO host? We have the search options that I've mentioned, so the proximity searching. We also have expander settings as well. We also provide the guided style searching, so that is those rows with the Boolean operators and our fields to search within. We also have special and unique filters that we can use to filter down to very specific content. We also have our publication browsing options, and we have our subject headings and controlled vocabulary. So I want to touch a little bit here on those search modes again. So I mentioned that the default is the proximity, that's that default near 5, but in the list you might have noticed there are a few other options as well, and you can alternate between these during your searches. So this is a cheat sheet to show you what each of those options mean. So find all will place that Boolean and wherever there's a space. Find any will place the Boolean or between search terms wherever there's a space. We also have a smart text search. Now this was historically called sort of a natural language search, in which case you could enter in a large portions of text, so paragraphs, whole pages, and we have a little bit of technology in here that will reduce the text that's entered into the most important search terms based on an algorithm, so a little summarizer that we have. So I'll look at things like the term frequency, and the document frequency calculations, and then basically create a Boolean query based on whatever you've input into the smart text field. One of the features of this was having that whole page or whole paragraph, 1 for plagiarism and 2 to identify where a piece of research might be coming from. We've also very recently released a new AI tool called Natural Language Search. So this differs from smart text searching in that it does use artificial intelligence. It uses a large language model to help create a search strategy based on a user's spoken language in a question or a statement format. So this is a very easy tool to use. I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So I'm going to show you how we can run a search using natural language. There is an option in the advanced search in the search options to turn that on. There is also a toggle on the basic screen as well. And I will just have a little disclaimer over here to say natural language search is great for beginning your research, but if your research needs to be reproducible, just make sure you're documenting the refined search query. So it's a great tool for starting out, but if you're an advanced researcher, you may still want to create your own search strategies. But as you'll see, it'll give you a good starting point. So how does it work? So natural language search uses our regularly spoken language, including question format or statement format. And the technology itself leverages things like EBSCO's relevance ranking, our thesaurus mapping, so controlled terms, and the metadata, so information about the records themselves. And one of the benefits of it is that it's intended to help increase equity in research. So if you're used to using your dictator on your phone, Siri, that type of thing, this might be useful to you. But as you'll see, it's not, if you're needing to reproduce your research, I'd still be constructing that search specifically using the database itself. But again, it's a great point for starting your research. So I've got a couple of examples here. I'm actually going to use this one actually. Yeah, let's use aspirin. So how does it work? We just have to type in using a question or a statement. So let's have a look at this on the platform. To access your natural language search, you can be in a specific database. I am going to use CINAHL. I'm actually also going to use APA today as well, but we'll go to CINAHL first. In the C.R.A.A.P database, we're going to just go to search options and select that natural language search. Now, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more about those search modes, there is a link to the help guide here that will give you that description. Oh, just a note as well, the expanders are also here. So by default, our system's going to automatically map subject terms. Okay, if you want to turn that off, you can absolutely deselect that at any time. And another expander that you can see here as well is searching within the full text of articles. Now, I would say use this one if you have a very niche research topic and you're not having much luck finding much research on it. This will expand the search in EBSCO to look for those keywords within the full text of articles as well and not just the metadata. But coming back up, we're going to do our natural language search. So we're in C.R.A.A.P. I actually want to know how to manage stress. So that is my very quick keyword, my statement or my question. And then that natural language AI tool is going to produce me my results. So as we can see here, I've got stress management and stress in my subject area. So this is likely going to be quite useful. Somatic rescue techniques, stress management, surprising ways to tame stress. So we can see some quite relevant results for that. Now over here, this is where I really like the natural language query, is we can show the refined query. So I can see how it has created my search strategy based on my very quick question or statement. So I can see we've got stress management or stress reduction and technique or method or strategy. So again, what I would say is it's a good starting point to identify terms, synonyms, and how a search might be developed. But again, I think it's more suitable for that kind of first starting off point for research. Okay, now I do have a quick activity for everyone. If you would like to follow along, please do. If you would like to do this, I'll give you 30 seconds just for timing. Please navigate into the natural language. And our question will be, does aspirin help prevent heart attack? So what I want you to do is just go into the search options from advanced screen, click natural language search, enter in this sample search, copy that refined search query and just paste it into the chat window. Great, and I can see we've got some examples coming through, which is great. So we've got aspirin and heart attack or myocardial infarction or cardiovascular disease. So really useful keywords to sort of start our search on that topic as well. And also looking at the relevancy of those results, so you can see how quite relevant they are to that statement or topic too. So I'll move on from there, but feel free to put in your example refined search queries if you'd like to as we go through the session. So the next thing I'm going to touch on now is guided style searching plus a subject heading search. So I wanted to talk here a little bit about why would we use a subject heading and how are they used. So in EBSCO, most databases will include a subject thesaurus. It might be called subjects, or for C.R.A.A.P, it'll come up as C.R.A.A.P headings. The difference between them is the APA thesaurus, for example, is an index of psychological terms, so it's a subject index. It's very much the same thing. It's a thesaurus of controlled terms. You will notice, though, that the C.R.A.A.P controlled vocabulary is a little bit different. And you can see in my screenshot here. In C.R.A.A.P, we do have a tree view. It is based similar on the medical subject headings or MESH, if you're familiar with those. And we do have things like limiting to major concept, exploding a term, and also some free-floating subject headings. So I'm going to show you this on C.R.A.A.P shortly. You'll also note that in the APA thesaurus for brain injury, we have the controlled term and we also have the scope note. So it tells us how that particular term is used within the database, and the articles assigned that term will be the content of this. So with C.R.A.A.P, we can see a slightly different scope note. Again, they're different vocabulary. If you want to learn a little bit more about subject headings, I have also provided a link in the slide deck. So from here, what we're going to do is construct a search in C.R.A.A.P using both our controlled terms and a field code called XB. So we're going to be creating a qualified search with control term plus our free text keywords. So my little search scenario is over here. We've got the impact of mindfulness interventions on reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression among individuals with chronic pain. So in a guided style search, we could simply enter the search in using our advanced search screen. I am going to show you a slightly different way of searching today, where we're going to search by concept and then combine our concepts using the new combined search feature in search history. So let's have a look at this. So to do that, I'm going to go back to a new search to go back to a nice fresh page. And now I'm going to head over to Sonal headings. So this is a controlled vocabulary. My first concept here is going to be chronic pain. So it's a relevancy ranked search. It's picking up my term of chronic pain. I can see I've got a major concept limiter. If I was to select this, my articles would be retrieving information where chronic pain is the major concept or the major heading of that article. So sometimes major concept can limit you a little bit. You'll also see once I checked that box that I also get these subheadings as well. So if I really just wanted information about chronic pain and maybe risk factors, I could add that subheading after that as well. And you will see a little scope note for each of these different subheadings as well. So here's chronic pain, here's the scope note for that term. And if we click into the term, we can actually view more information about the controlled vocabulary. So chronic pain, scope note, what it's used for, history notes, related headings, and the tree view. So here's chronic pain, which is a narrower term of pain. So just the tree view here in C.R.A.A.P. So what I'm going to do is add that control term to my search. And what I also want to do is search simultaneously using a free text search, so not necessarily my control term, but I am going to use a field called title and abstract. So I want to look for chronic pain as a major term or a major heading and minor heading, as well as the term chronic pain in the title and abstract field. So I'm just going to copy that in, use my OR and click on search. So this is my first concept in my search strategy, and I've got, chronic pain here in my search results. So I'll see that term featured in the title, as well as the abstract, and as well as the control terms in the subjects. I'm now going to go into new search and might do the same thing for my next concept, which is mindfulness. So again, we get the term here, relevancy ranked. I'm going to click into that. I get the scope note, the history notes, and the tree here. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and check the box and add that to my search and follow that same step. So my XB field code for title and abstract and mindfulness. And we're going to go ahead and just make that an OR and then click on search. Okay, so there's my results. We can see mindfulness again in my subjects as well as my title and my abstract. So XB, so great question. Is XB a keyword? XB is a field. So that's our field codes for our qualified searching. So coming back to this main page in the drop down here, I mentioned before we did like a title search and I had emotional intelligence in that field. And then I also had the author with Goldman. There are fields. So it's saying look for those keywords in that particular field. So the XB is a new field code for the new EBSCO host where it's looking for those keywords in both the title as well as the abstract rather than having to go title or abstract. So it's a new field code, but it just makes that searching a little bit easier, particularly if you're wanting to combine that major heading or that controlled term with that free text as well. And you'll also find the XB field code in the APA as well. Yeah.
So that new text field, XP, is a game changer for people doing like complex reviews.
Great. Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. It's been very much requested. So that's great. Um,
Right.
So I've created my search strategy now. I'm going to keep it quite simple just for today's session. So I've got my two concepts now. We've searched the major heading using the MH, using our SNL headings, as well as looking for those keywords in title as well as abstract at the same time. Now what we want to do, I want to combine those two concepts together using Boolean. So I'm going to come over to my dashboard here and click on recent activity. Now recent activity is logging everything that I've done in my browser session. Please note if I close my browser, if I clear my cache or my cookies, my session has ended. So please note if you skipped personalization earlier, you may like to sign in if you'd like to save your search for later. So just a note, the recent activity is a session-based activity log. So it's showing me all my searches I've conducted in our session today in reverse chronological order. What I want to do here though is select my two most recent searches, so S10 and S11. Once I check the S11, you'll notice a little tool appears, which is our combined search tool. So I want to combine these two searches together using my AND operator. So just going to place those combined searches up the top and I'm going to go ahead and search. It's going to bring all those together using the AND. So I'll see the interaction of mindfulness, chronic pain, and how that might help. So how mindfulness might help chronic pain. And I have 515 results. So I had about 20,000, I think, for each individual search, but now it's brought them together using that AND operator, and they're going to be quite specific to my topic. So that is our new combined search using both our control terms as well as our new XB field code. Now I have put in the slide deck how you can find that combined search tool. It is a little bit tricky to see. You just got to make sure once you've selected your options, the tool is right up the top. So these slides will be made available to you as well. So moving on from there, I wanted to talk a little bit more about searchable field codes. Now we've talked a little bit about the XB so far, but I wanted to give a couple of examples. So if we're searching multiple databases, you will see common field codes. So this is a list of the common field codes that are applicable to all databases. So things like our author, title, subject terms, source, abstract, ISSN, and ISBN are kind of our standard core field codes. But each database has its own unique set of field codes. CR.A.A.P, for example, has a lot. APA PsycInfo also has a lot. If you're interested in knowing what field codes are available for different databases, I've provided a link in the slide deck, and it's called our database help file. So I'm just going to put this one in the chat for you as well, just if you're interested in having a look. So we are in CR.A.A.P today, so I'll jump into the CR.A.A.P help guide, the database help file. It's just a PDF, but it's going to give you a list of the field codes. So you'll notice in here a lot of information. So lots of different tags, a description of the tag, and how we would actually use that in the database. So these are in addition to those common field codes that I've just mentioned. So we're going to take a look at some of these examples. So some unique field codes include things like author affiliation, where we can search for the author's affiliation when they publish the research. Age group, they're searching for words within certain age groups identified in a document. Grant information, so this will search for funding information and grant numbers if available. So who's funded that piece of research? SB is for journal subset, so this is searching a particular journal subset like evidence-based practice journals, for example. Also things like CO for company entity, looking in the company entity field, and also DT for date and time. So this will search the exact date of a publication of an article. So again, unique field codes differ by database, and I have some examples that we're going to have a look at now. So we're going to have a look at both CR.A.A.P and also APA PsycInfo. So first of all, we're going to have a look at author affiliation on the CR.A.A.P database, and we're going to search for Western Sydney University. Now you can use any institution, any organisation, whatever you like. You also may find the field code over to the right-hand side. So there is a huge list here of those specific, CINAHL-specific field codes. Here's author affiliation. I'm going to use Western Sydney University, and this is going to look for author affiliation. So where authors were affiliated when they published that research. So quite a lot in CINAHL. Let's have a look at this first result here. And it's looking here in our author affiliation field, and I can see my third author is affiliated with Western Sydney University. So why might this field code be useful? I will show you. In your filter panel, when you click on that, it will open your full filters over to the right-hand side. You can actually check in here to see what type of subject area are people publishing in from a particular organization, institution, company around the world. So we can see treatment outcomes, risk assessment, health services accessibility, COVID-19. We can also see what publications are popular in this particular organization. And again, this is just CINAHL, so just sort of that nursing allied health, heart, lung and circulation, women and birth, you get the idea. So we can sort of see information around sort of research output as well using this feature. Okay, so that was AF, the author affiliation field code. And again, you can put any institution, organization or company in that field. The next one I wanted to show you also on CINAHL is grant information. And I mentioned earlier in our C.R.A.A.P acronym, we can view the relevancy or the authority who's authored a particular publication and who might sponsor it as well. Or if you're looking for grant information, you could also use this field. So in this case, we're going to use New South Wales Health. I want to see, have they sponsored any research? If they have, what kind of research have they sponsored? So in CINAHL alone, 258 records here. So if we click into that title link and we have a look at this record, we can see our authors, we can see our affiliation field here. And if we go down a little bit further through our field, we get to our grant information, and here's where it's picked up my keyword of New South Wales Health. So that's for grant information. Another field code we're going to use is instrumentation. So in this case, we're going to be looking for quality of life as an instrumentation. So an instrument is usually a research instrument, something that's been used, a test, a measure, a survey, a questionnaire within a piece of research. We're going to look for quality of life. So just new search in your drop down, scrolling over, you should see a field for instrumentation. Just here, it's uppercase IN, and we're going to type in quality of life. Is there any tools, any research instruments you help identify this particular topic? I'm going to click into my top link here to again go into that metadata record, that abstract record, and then scrolling through here, we're going to be looking for our instrumentation. And we can see that there is a survey used here called the Survey of Quality of Life, so SQL. So this is the instrumentation that's been used within this particular piece of research. So quite a nice little tool there if you're interested in that sort of thing. I'm going to just jump out of CINAHL now. We're going to head over to APA Psych Info. I'm going to show you a few little tips in that database as well. So very similar process. Just going to go into my select all. We're going to go into APA Psych Info and select. And it's still remembering my search from earlier by the looks of it. In my drop-down, I will have now slightly different, perhaps, field codes that are specific to APA. And you can also see we've got the XB field code for this database as well. So one of the options I wanted to show you here was similar to CINAHL. It's called grant sponsorship. So thinking about the sponsorship of this particular research. So in this case, we're also going to use New South Wales Health. And again, you could type in any kind of sponsorship name here as well, any kind of organisation that you're wanting to check. So here is the first record. Let's have a look at this one. So similar to Sonal, we're going to see the metadata, really good metadata in our APA PsycInfo database. And then down here, we will see our grant sponsorship. And here we can see we've got New South Wales Health. We can also see other sponsors as well. It's got a couple of sponsors, this piece of research, and it's also giving us some grant numbers as well if we wanted additional research. APA has a lot of metadata fields, so you'll also see we get a clinical trial number here. We've got methodology included. So going back to that appraisal acronym, this is a great way of checking the quality of a particular piece of research. So really rich metadata in APA. Okay, so that was granted sponsorship. Another little tool, another little field code you might be interested in is tests and measures. So similar to the research instruments, these are tests and measures within the piece of research. So down here, tests and measures TM, and we're going to type in borderline. We're going to be finding tests and measures for borderline personality disorders. So again, I'll click into that top link. And then in our metadata, we're looking for our tests and measures, and here we are. So there's actually 2 tests and measures here. So I kind of also know now that this article is really going to be about borderline personality disorder as well. Okay, and then the last one I wanted to show you was something called date and time, so DT. Now, date and time, we can absolutely refine our search results using date. I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you this DT field code that might be useful as well. So my results are here. I've got 1987. I do have a little time increment here. Maybe I want research published in the past 5 years and very quickly filter that down. I can also go to my all filter panel, and from here I can go into publication date and set a custom date range. So maybe I wanted to set a date range for here, right? So June is that. But what if I just wanted to go ahead and create a rolling search on a topic? So I'm going to show you how to use the DT field code. So I'm going to use just a quick search strategy on borderline personality disorder. And I'm just going to go ahead and click my suggested subject terms there. I'm going to use my and I'm going to type in DT, always uppercase, a space, and I'm going to enter in 90. So I want to see, is there any research published over the past 90 days on the topic of borderline personality disorder? And you can see I do have 22 results from here. Now you can change that date time. So I'd use 90 days. You could use 30 for 30 days, 60 for 60 days, and so on. So the DT field code has a lot of uses. That is one of them. Could also use it for relative date searches, so dates in the future to dates in the past. There's a great help guide. I've linked it into the slide deck as well, but you'll see in here that there's quite a few uses for this code. So here's the 90 days that we've used. Here's a relative date search for 1984, for example. Here's days in the future, so 30 days, last 30 days to the future 30 days. And we've got some specific date searching as well, and ways that we can combine that using dates too. So DT field code has a few uses, and once you've done that, you might like to save your search. So here is my DT90, using my edit details here in the recent activity. I could add a description about my search, and then I can save my changes. And I'll just let you know as well, if you're wanting to save your search, just make sure you check the little bookmark icon. And just a reminder, if you're not signed into my EBSCO, make sure you do save that permanently. And that little search will now be in my saved search section. And if I wanted to rerun that tomorrow, it would that rolling search for the past 90 days. And you can also, if you like, set up an alert on your search strategy too. Okay, so that's some little searching tips using field codes. If there's any questions on any of that, please let me know. So I'm now going to have a look at the result list. So this is going to provide a few little features for you. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, we also have an AI insight that will help you identify the relevance of a piece of research to research topic or question. Please note that these are not available for all records. You'll see them on some, but not all. And once you click on Generate AI Insights, it will then generate an insight here based on the full text. We do provide a disclaimer, and we also do have the option for you to let us know if you find the insights helpful or not. So the way that these work is we have specific EBSCO licensed full text content. So those links will only appear for full text records. We have a structured prompt. So once you click that little button, it will then provide that prompt, look through the full text, which is our source of truth, and provide those salient points of the article. We also have a human in the loop validation, meaning our subject matter experts and clinicians will provide ongoing validation to make sure our AI insights are relevant and that they're grounded in that full text. So let's have a look at the AI insights. Now I will just have to go back to a full text record for this. I am just going to look for through Sonal here just because APA is a index-only database, so it won't have full text. So we're going to do, we'll just do chronic pain again, just to show you an example here. Okay, so in our search results, you'll notice I've got a more like this button, but down in my fourth example, this article is available in full text and I have got my Generate AI Insights. So once I check or click on that, this will then refer to the full text and generate the salient points of that article. So I could read the abstract, of course, but this just provides the main points from the full text, not just what's in the abstract here. And I could then decide if it is relevant to my research, I may like to go ahead and the full text. So open the PDF or open the online full text. So whilst I'm here, I'm going to open up the PDF for you and just show you all the features. You can save your record, generate an end text citation, export your citation to EndNote, save it to a project, share the record to Google Drive, OneDrive, or create a shareable link, or email it to yourself or others. I can download the full text and download the metadata only. I can print out the article. I can view other articles from this same journal as this article here, the same volume and issue. And I can also have it read out to me using text-to-speech, and I can download the MP3. And we also have some accessibility options as well. So that particular article is available in both PDF and online full text. And I'll show you the online full text version. It's very similar, except you don't get page numbers. Get all the tools across the top. We do get a table of contents to quickly navigate through the article. We do also get a translate tool with our online full text, and we can translate this to any of these supported languages. We do a machine translation. We use Microsoft Translate. So once you translate the text, there will be some wording appear to indicate that this is a machine translation. So here's your little wording disclaimer. And now my article has been translated to Japanese. I could also print out the translated article as well. Now, I also have text-to-speech, but please note if you've translated the full text, it does need to be in the original language, and then you've got your text-to-speech feature. So online full text only is accessible via EBSCO, correct? Everything we're looking at today is specific to the EBSCO platform. So some providers, some publishers supply full text in PDF and online full text. Some publishers provide one or the other. So some records will have both links, some will have one or the other. Again, it just depends on how that publisher supplies full text. But if they supply it to us in online full text, these are the features that all of those articles will have, and the same for PDF. Okay, so that is the online full text. I also wanted to show you another little tool that you'll find on the result list as well, which is this more like this feature. This will appear and provide you with up to 5 articles. We'll call it a recommender based on subject headings from the original article that you've been reading. So it's based on subject headings. It's a little bit like Netflix, how Netflix will recommend you certain TV shows to watch, for example, or Amazon for another example. So you can actually scroll through these, decide if it's useful to you or not. And you can also provide some feedback to us about our recommendations as well. So they're an article recommender when you see more like this. Sometimes you might not see any records appear and it just means that there's no matching subject headings. So APA PsycInfo doesn't have full text. Correct. So APA PsycInfo is a indexing and abstracting only database. However, you also have PsycArticles, and PsycArticles does have full text article availability. So even if you're searching APA, you'll note that there's a full text filter. So if the same journal article is available in full text in either CR.A.A.P or any of your other databases or APA PsycArticles, you'll still get your full text through here. So yeah, you'll still see it. So for example, we did a borderline search before. So you're still seeing full text. We call this a smart link. And it's just saying, okay, you have this available maybe in PsycArticles. Here's the full text. Okay. But traditionally PsycInfo is just abstracting and indexing. They do have a lot of open access though, and they do tend to flag it if that's the case. In fact, there is a specific limiter for open access within the APA database. Yeah, no problem. I just thought I'd mention it because sometimes you might be wondering why there are no full text appearing, but yeah, you can use the linked full text. That's just saying, show me full text from any subscriptions that we do have. Okay, so coming back to my screen, that's the more like this article recommender. I now want to talk about the tools menu. So again, from our search results, we've got a nice list of results available. I'm just going to go back and rerun that borderline search. So from our search results, we do have these little tools. I can save my article records to my save section of the dashboard. Using the 3 dots, I can generate that end text citation, export the record to EndNote. I can add it to a project. I can share it. So again, just getting the metadata to Google Drive or OneDrive or creating a shareable link or emailing it, including the attachment, and just downloading directly from the search results. So I don't actually have to open it. I could just get the PDF directly out of the platform. So this is just the full text now over here. So this is out of EBSCO. I can save it to my desktop, put it on my USB stick, whatever I need to do. So that's directly from the results. Okay, so moving on from there, I've talked a little bit already about the full text. So just a reminder, we have 2 types, PDF and online. The difference is your PDF will have your page numbers, etc. The online full text is HTML based, but it does include your translate tool. Okay, now working with your results. So I've talked about how you can access the tools menu for individual records, but what if you've got a lot of articles that you're wanting to export out of EBSCO or save? I'll show you where we can do this. So once we've got our results, we have a little checkbox at the top of the screen. I'm going to untick that so I've got a few more results. Using the drop down, I can select all on this current page, which is 10 with a max of 50, or I can simply just select 1 to 50. I can then, once I do that, have those tools options appearing. So if I wanted to bulk export the first page of my results, the first 50 to EndNote, I'll get the option to copy my end text citation for all 10 or export the citation here to EndNote. So this is your bulk option. Bulk save as well, saving the metadata or bulk emailing the metadata. Bulk saving these to a custom project. Bulk saving the items to my saved section of the dashboard. And bulk downloading the metadata. So why would the metadata be important? Maybe you're between computers. Maybe you're just wanting the citation records to be exported out of EBSCO so you can review them. You can select from any of these formats. So I'm going to go with Excel here via CSV. There's also PDF, Word, plus some other formats as well. And so what this does is just exports the metadata out so I can review those articles outside of EBSCO. So this is the results from that search. I've got the title, everything I need to cite it. And then right at the end, we get the link to go back to that record as well. So when you see metadata, that's what it's doing. It's exporting the metadata out. Now, if I clicked on save, it will just save all of those records into my saved folder in the records section. And I can then interrogate them from here as well. So review the articles, add them to project, get the citation, etc. So that's our bulk. Now, what if I had a lot of results, up to maybe I had 5,000 results that I wanted to export? As you would have seen, 50 was the maximum. So back up to the top of my search results screen, you'll see an option for export results up to 25,000 records. Now, what happens here is you will need to be signed into My EBSCO. It will prompt, and then you'll have an option to import your email address and select your output format. If you're using an EndNote, you would select RIS and you would then receive an email. That email will have a link. Once you click that link, you'll be importing those records to your EndNote library. So that is for bulk records up to 25,000. Just a note with this as well, when you're doing the bulk export, it's up to 20 exports in a 24-hour period. It will reset after 24 hours. You've got another 20, and there is a cap on 100,000 records per day, so per 24 hours. Okay, now the last little thing I wanted to show you was the dashboard. So I've mentioned already recent activity. I've talked a little bit about projects. So projects work with the My EBSCO account, allowing you to create a project to save and customize your save section. So saving your searches, saving your records into a project. A save section, as we saw, we can save our searches, save our records. The recent activity allows us to access search history as well as use that combined search tool and saving our searches from there as well. Holds and checkouts is about EBSCO ebooks that you might have checked out, and alerts are about search and publication alerts. So a search alert can be created once you've conducted your search by using the Create Alert button. You need to have your My EBSCO account, so it will prompt you to log in. You can put in the details, your email address, and you would then be emailed the next time a new article is published that matches your search strategy. And your alerts are managed over here. We also have a publication alert feature as well, which is where we can create a publication alert on our favorite journal or publication. All right, so I'm going to show you the publications very quickly. So just from our new search, I'm just going to go into Sonal for this one. APA doesn't have the list of publications there, but let's go into our search from here, into publications, and we can browse all the publications indexed in a database. If we know a particular one we're interested in, we can type it in. We'll also see here the flag on how that publisher's provided the full text to us. So I'm going to go into nursing here. I get details about the journal, its frequency of publication, publisher URL, volume, issue, and article options that I can click into. And if I want to set up that publication journal alert, I'll click my publication tools, click on create alert, and follow the prompts to create that journal alert. And if I wanted to share this, I could go into the share button to grab a shareable link for this record. Another little feature is we have a search within as well. So if we're searching for terms within a journal, we can certainly do that here. So the journal is nursing, so I'm going to be looking for artificial intelligence. I want to know if there's any articles from this journal on this topic, and you can see I've got no results, but I am just going to check off my limiter there. So I've got 19 results now on artificial intelligence from that publication. So that is our publication authority, and you'll find that on the left-hand side of the screen. Okay, now any questions for me? That takes me to the end of the session. Okay, I've had a question about rolling over alerts from the old system. I'm about to talk to you about that now. So I did just sort of throw this in at the last minute, but with the classic version and the new version, this is what you need to know. I've provided a link here, really good information about what will sync and what will not. But basically, in the classic version, you'll have the My Folder section. Items that will sync now include any article records, images, videos, ebooks, ebook holds and ebook checkouts. And your save searches will also sync now as well. What will not sync is anything in the custom folders. So just a note, nothing in that custom folder will sync. In addition, your alerts will also not sync. So what you can do with your alerts is you might need to either recreate them. Journal alerts you will absolutely need to recreate. And I will just, a little word of warning, make sure if you're setting up the new alert on the new system, you delete the classic one. Otherwise you'll get duplicates until we deprecate that classic system, that classic alert system. There is a cheat for your search alerts because we're migrating the save searches. You can move your save searches from your custom up into your My folder, and I would just rename it and call it alert. So when it syncs across to the new UI, you would just rerun the search basically from your saved section. So your synced searches would be here once you sign in. Would just basically rerun it. And then you'd have the option to create that alert. So that would be my tip if you're wanting to sync it. The journal alerts can't be synced. There's no way around that. We have to recreate them. Lastly, if you've got custom folder content though, you can now, when you sign into my EBSCO, go to the projects and there'll be an option to download all of your custom folder content in Excel. So I've got a little screencast here that will just show you the process. It's pretty straightforward. It will just be Excel though, so you will need to recreate things unless you've synced them across using the My Folder section. But this is really the process. So once you sign into the My EBSCO account, you'll go to the projects and then click on Get Report. Sometimes I find the Get Report, you need to click it a few times. So if you have to click it a few times, do. And what it will do is just generate that Excel file for you, and it will show you all of the content from your folders, including any searches, articles, and so on. And the tabs across the bottom will be my specific custom folders, right? What I've got stored in those custom folders. So that is the new custom folder download. So I have provided a link to that screencast as well. Okay, I think there has been a couple of questions, so I'm just going to jump into the chat. All right, not a problem. That is the end of my session. So thank you very much for your time. I think we have gone over. I do apologize. Thank you very much for your time. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at n.davis@ebsco.com.